AM Naik of L&T is with us on the show, and ET Now told you first, and it's official, the mega exclusive with respect to the President approving the ordinance dealing with the bank's NPAs. Mr. Naik, this really gives more teeth to the RBI to deal with the rising debt pile. I want to know what your initial reaction would be. Do you think that this is a step in the right direction, or perhaps it's only a short-term measure?
Well, I think something needed to be done because in spite of several efforts, the NPA is not going down. In fact, there had been enormous amount of bank balance sheet which has been affected due to that, and giving powers to Reserve Bank to strengthen the positioning of restructuring of the banks as a result of action which need to be taken on NPA, I think is welcome.
Mr. Naik, the fact that, Section 35A and 35AB had been added to this in order that will now enable the central bank to issue directions for a resolution of stressed assets. Could you comment on this specifically and tell us what you make of it?
Well, I'm not an expert, neither have I I've read in detail the two sections. I can't comment on it except for the fact that anything that will streamline the bank balance sheet and clean it up, whether or not whatever needs to be done has to be done.
Mr. Naik, this step is now going to allow the RBI to get greater powers. Do you think that you will be confident that with this move, the RBI is going to, really act in the interest of the country?
Only they will have to. I'm not saying they should directly intervene. I feel that they should really have a lot more support or pressure on the banks to see that the NPA is completely eliminated by provisions and cleaning up balance sheet.
This has really been a problem that we've been struggling with for quite some time now, the NPA menace and the kind of figures that it runs into. While, you are loading this step, and like a lot of the other people, I just want to understand, given that it is a very decisive step to tackle the bad loans, do you think that there is no real quick fix and that a lot more needs to be done in order to tackle the bad loan menace?
Well, I don't think unless and until you really take over all the assets of the company which has defaulted, and that possibly always not be feasible. I think this is the step which possibly will hurry up cleaning of balance sheet in any case of all the banks, and consequently also the deficit measure that was taken against the defaulting companies, really to clean them up as well.
Right. And, while this problem isn't purely isolated to the banking space, of course, it trickles down to some of the other sectors, particularly infrastructure, etc. We were speaking earlier in the day with Mr. H.R. Khan, the former Deputy Governor of the RBI, and he said that while this new banking regulation is definitely a step in the right direction, more action is needed to create infrastructure as well for speeding up of NPA cases. Would you like to comment on this?
Well, I mean, we need unlimited infrastructure, unlimited, but we have no resources to build them. We are very, very backward in the infrastructure area, but the companies which went for public-private partnership 10 years ago or 15 years ago, all of them have taken a bad hit. For whatever may be the reason, it's a detailed subject one has to debate whether the right conditions were laid out for a PPP. But the fact is, whether it is airports, whether it is roads, whether it is power plants, all of them which went on PPP route are not necessarily in good shape. Now, how do you create new infrastructure if all the old infrastructure players, due to PPP tension or, let's say, pressure, are not willing to go for any more PPP at all? Larsen Toubro, for one, participated in many PPP projects, but we are not participating for the last 2 years.
Right. Mr. Naik, this is Supriya Srinath from New Delhi, sir. I'm just going to go back and ask you the first question that the NPA Ordinance, which will now be a law, will have to be passed by Parliament, in some sense gives legitimacy and it also gives legislative legitimacy for banks and RBI to resolve the NPA mess. There's 6 lakh crore worth of NPAs. How much of NPAs do you expect will be resolved after this particular ordinance, given that there is some kind of a protection, a shield for bankers to now take the controversial discretionary decisions?
Well, maybe 2 lakh crores or something like that can be recovered, 1/3. 2/3 is beyond recovery because those assets are so bad that there is nothing that you can get out of that.
So you believe only 1/3 of India's assets can be resolved by this? I can hear you, sir. You believe that only 1/3 of India's assets can be resolved by this ordinance or the route that the government is taking. I also want to ask you a question, sir.
Hello.
That's right. I also want to ask you the question that you alluded to earlier, that this ordinance gives a lot of power to the RBI, and RBI can issue special directives, it can invoke insolvency and bankruptcy laws. My question to you is, do you believe that's meddling with the affairs of banks, and these are actually commercial decisions should be taken by the banks themselves and not the RBI?
No, according to me, by bank themselves, with a solid backing from RBI, rather than direct intervention by RBI.
But do you fear that this may lead to direct intervention and interference by the RBI?
I said not. It should not be that the RBI directly intervene. They should give a lot of, let's say, help and in a way some pressure to the banks to act on it swiftly and get the NPA issue much better resolved than what it is done now by, let's say, soft handling.
Okay, so soft handling, perhaps just being a cushion behind banks, but not directly intervening. So there is also one of the provisions is that the Joint Lender Forum that had been authorized to take, calls on haircuts or speak to promoters. If there was a dissenting bank, things were not moving fast. The RBI now has the power to get that dissenting bank on board in the Joint Lenders Forum and speed up decision making. Do you believe that's a good move because one bank alone cannot hold up things anymore?
No, I think it's a good move.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/ETNow.